All right, a lot of history. Zach, what about you?
I'm excited to see how these coaches refuse to play defensively with their players. We've seen a very high lack of defense from both coaches, and it's good to see another game of lackluster defense. Super excited for that.
All right, and I'm excited about a Drew Holiday 35 point tonight, so he wins the MVP. This is Pastor Rock.
Hey yo, could one of y'all pass the gosh darn rock? Hey yo, I'm trying, I ain't lying, and hosting this will be Brian. Yeah. Posting like Kobe Bryant, yeah. Flying to see the pie. Yeah. Hit the hezzy, we got Jesse, opinions get kinda messy. A fan of out of lefties, from football to racing Jeffy. He goes silly when he go deep, sheesh, is Zach Zeman. Teaming up with Jack, we stack the whole team, man. Pass the rock, don't stop the shot clock. Woo. Smack the slap shot, come on, now let's talk. Pass the, yo partner, pass the rock. For real.
All right, we've waited all off season for this moment, this show. We finally get back to breaking down the NFL. We're going to do the worst division maybe in the history of the NFL, the NFC South 2024. All of our content today is about that. You'll start seeing football stuff all over Instagram and TikTok and Twitch every week because there's a ton of football to talk about, and we love talking football. So the NBA Finals, we have that going on, Game 5 tonight. Really excited about that. We're going to watch it. Well, you'll see some content later this week on that, but it's all about football today. Guys, how excited are you to talk about football, Zach?
You know, it is great that football season is right around the corner. I am very excited to be talking about football again. Get to start thinking about fantasy again. Get to start thinking about how our teams are going to do. Get to start thinking about, what games do I really want to see the most. But yeah, I'm so excited that football season it's right around the corner. But, we have to go through baseball season, a little bit of a slog first, and then we get our football. So it's going to be exciting breaking this down, really get the gears turning when it comes to football again.
Jesse, do you believe in football as part of your soul again now that the Patriots have a new quarterback?
I think this year is going to be a lot more fun to watch than last year. Even if Jacoby Brissett is our quarterback for the first 10 weeks, can't be much worse. So, yeah, I think I'm so happy to be back talking football, get into our favorite sport and all of our viewers' favorite sport as well. Even though it's still, 11 weeks away until the regular season, but it's going to fly by just like the season always does. So
yeah, it's going to fly by. Whenever we start our division breakdowns, it flies by. That's 8 straight weeks. It starts today. So my first question to you, well, it's actually a two-parter. Number one, who is going to win this division? The NFC South. Zach looks frozen, so I'll go to you first, Jesse.
Who the F is going to win the NFC South? My best bet, honestly, is going to be the Atlanta Falcons. I think that this is the year. They had a chance last year. They were like 7-10, and if they don't blow like 4 of those close games that Desmond Ridder fumbled away or they just absolutely crumbled late game, I think with Kirk Cousins there this year, ideally he stays healthy all year, but if not, even with Michael Penix, I think they could be really fun to watch. Their offense is going to be a lot of fun this year, and they've had a good defense the last couple of years, so I'm excited for them. They've got a new head coach with Raheem Morris. I think that there's a lot going on there. And I think Atlanta, this is as clear of a year as ever with no number one team in the division that really anybody could take a step up. And I think it's the Falcons' turn to finally stop being terrible for so long.
I hope you're wrong. But going to Zach, who the F is going to win the NFC South?
While I do think the Falcons might be the favorites because, they got a new quarterback, they got a new head coach, I'm going to go with the winners of last year. Give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to repeat as division champions. I still really like what they have at offense. I like that Baker Mayfield, I like what Baker Mayfield did last year. I hope it's going to translate into this year. Rashad White really impressed me. I didn't think he was going to be nearly as good as he was. They still have Mike Evans. They still have Chris Godwin. They added Trey Palmer. They added Sterling Shepard apparently too, which is pretty funny. But, he might make a little bit of an impact. The defense has always been solid. Nothing to really write home about, but definitely solid with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I expect there to be a repeat winner in the NFC South.
Yeah, so if I pick the Saints, you're just going to call me a homer, so I'm not going to pick the Saints. I like Tampa, and I know Atlanta on paper is the one, but I just don't feel confident with Kirk Cousins having the Achilles injury last year. There's no reason for him not to be successful. The question is how much he gets hit and if he can stay healthy the entire time. And who's to know? Maybe if he goes down week 6 to 8 and Penix comes in, they still fly by the rest of the NFC South. We'll have to see. But I like Tampa here. I think Baker continues to game manage. Their defense is solid, and they win this division. But the key question is the winner of this division. Do they have over under 8.5 wins, Jesse?
I'm going to say over. I don't think that you can win this division under 500 again. I know the Bucs did it a few years ago, but I really think that it might be close. Like it might be 9. It might be 9-8. It might be 10-7. But I think that this division is going to have some pride at least, and the winner will be above 500. So obviously over.
Mm-hmm. Zach, over under 8.5 wins. There you are.
Now you guys are frozen for me. You guys are frozen for me, and I was frozen for you. I don't know what's going on with my internet today, but I'm going to also go with the over. I think we have at least 2 teams in this division that could actually pull off a winning season in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons. I think this division will actually look competitive from the outside, but on the inside, if you actually watch the game, it's going to be an absolute mess. I do think it's going to end up, it's going to be one 9-8 team or one 10-7 team that just kind of wins by default. It's like, congratulations, everyone else just kind of fell apart around you, but you guys didn't. So here you go. Here's your division.
Yeah, I think the answer is definitely over 8.5 wins for the division champion. And here's why. They get to play 6 games against teams in the NFC South. So automatically somebody's going to have 9 wins. They're going to go 4-2 or 5-1 in the division, squeak out a few wins outside of the division, and there you go. So I don't think it's going to be, let's just say 9-8, maybe 10-7, but somebody would have to have some great injury luck to go 10-7. So hope it's the Saints. We'll see. Okay, in the NFC South, who takes a step forward this year? It can be a coach, it could be a player, it could be anybody. Going to you first, Zach.
Who takes a step forward this year? I know we're going to be talking about him in a little bit, but I really think the answer is Bijan Robinson. I feel like having a brand new head coach that will actually utilize the offense more traditionally and not make boneheaded decisions about personnel, I think will really benefit Bijan Robinson. I expect him to get a lot of touches, and I expect all of the hype that he had coming into his rookie year that's kind of like dissipate a little bit. I expect it to come right back, and I expect him to have a phenomenal sophomore season.
All right, Bijan, over to you, Jess.
I think Bryce Young takes a step forward because I don't think he could really take that many steps back after the season that Carolina had last year. But I think they've buffed up the O-line. They've got some new weapons, especially Deontay Johnson's going to be his favorite target this year. And it's going to be a new offense, hopefully, with Dave Canales in Carolina now. So ideally, Bryce Young is in a completely different situation than they were last year. And I think that he's going to take some strides this year, quiet some of the haters on the bust talk, because he was one of the best players in the draft and went to the dead last worst team in the entire NFL, so bad that they got the number 1 pick again. And I just think that he's going to have a much better year. Maybe a little bit of the rookie nerves are off now, and Bryce Young just really takes a step forward in this offense. Doesn't have a great season, but I mean, really can't get much worse than last year.
No, it was bad, and I think you're right. Just going with the lowest threshold, you're going to have an improvement out of him. I'm going to say the Saints offense. Clint Kubiak, huge get for the Saints from the 49ers brain trust. To be the offensive coordinator, I just think there's no way to go but up. The way Derek Carr played last year was an abomination. I think and Alvin Kamara has already said this, everything is intentional. Having a plan, getting Dennis Allen out of the room, let him go coach defense. Saints offense is going to be a big winner this year. Depends on the health of the defense, how the team does as a whole, but I think that they have a huge chance to step up. It's interesting. 2 of us picked Tampa to win the division, but none of us talked about anybody on Tampa taking a step forward. So let's go to the other side of it. Who takes 2 steps back in the NFC South?
Brian, you're not going to like my answer, but it's the New Orleans Saints. I don't think that this roster is currently going anywhere with the way it's constructed, especially not with Derek Carr at the helm. I think that last year was a pretty mediocre season, and I really don't think it's going to get much better for them. I know that Chris Olave is a good young talent, and the running back room is pretty solid, but the run game last year was pretty non-existent. I mean, Alvin Kamara still, I don't think, has ever had more than 1,000 yards on the ground, and they just kind of refuse to establish the run. And they love to dump off the ball, and still somehow Taysom Hill is getting into the mix in the goal line, and it's just a very inconsistent offense. And I just really don't see them taking any strides forward this year. Of everybody in the division, I think Atlanta got better in the offseason. Tampa Bay won last year. They're the defending division champion. And I think Carolina also made some moves to get better. And I just really don't think the Saints got very much better than last year. And I think that they're going to be the horse in last place of this division going into the next couple of years. So I think the Saints take 2 steps back.
All right, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, out of all the things that I think could take 2 step backs, this might sound crazy, but you know what? I'm going to say the Carolina Panthers managed to take 2 steps back. I'm going to say that they're going to go winless this season. You know, they got 2 wins last season. 2 steps back means they're going to be a winless team. I don't see any reason to really believe in this team. I honestly think that Michigan would stand a chance against this team if you pitted their 2 current rosters against each other. I'm not saying Michigan would win. I'm saying they would have a very good chance of, making it a competitive game, and they might even win. There is just nothing on this roster that really inspires me besides a little bit of the defense, some of the players they got. But even then, those players are already aging. I'm talking about Jadeveon Clowney and Shaq Thompson. They got those 2 guys, but it's like, they're getting older. They're not getting any younger. They're not going to help you too much. There is nothing with this Panthers team that inspires me enough to say that they're going to get more than 2 wins.
You don't think Xavier Legette and Deontay Johnson are going to be the next big thing in Carolina?
I don't know. I mean, you're picking between Bryce Young, Andy Dalton, and Jack Plumler to throw to them. So tell me how
why
they're
is Bryce Young such a write-off so far?
We'll get into this later. But if the Panthers don't even have faith in Bryce Young, why should I?
I think they do have faith. That's why they went out and got him 2 new wide receivers to throw to.
No. David Tepper has no faith in Bryce Young. He has none. He pretty much last season said, "Hey, I actually wanted C.J. Stroud," or I don't really know if I wanted Bryce Young. Like, we had that whole Tepper tantrum last year, and because of David Tepper and because of how he runs this organization, they are not going to succeed ever under him.
All right, well, let me give you my vote for who's going to take 2 steps back, and it's Bryce Young. I think the fact that they didn't really bolster the offensive line, and he's going to have a whole year of tape where people will be able to look at what he does, what he did well last year, if there was anything, and where they can attack him again. I think he either stays, or I think you end up seeing Andy Dalton pretty early in the season if he can't pull it together. Because I agree with you, Zach. I don't think the ownership is behind it, and I think that it's going to be really tough with who he is, what his size is. I know Jack would be going crazy if he heard this because he loves him some Bryce Young, but I think it's another huge failure for Carolina. It would shock me if they went 0-17, but it's never happened before. Maybe it'll happen this year. So a lot more to talk about. Let's get into our would you rather. So would you rather for the next 4 years, Bijan Robinson and let's start with Isaiah Pacheco. Zach.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Bijan Robinson on this one to start. I do really like Isaiah Pacheco, and he's definitely impressed me, but I think Bijan Robinson's ceiling under this new offense, under his new coaching staff, is through the roof. So give me Bijan Robinson.
Isaiah Pacheco is already a Super Bowl champion. I think Bijan might be a little hungrier, but this is a no question Bijan Robinson for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. Isaiah Pacheco has cracked the top 10 for fantasy football running back ratings. So he's going to be, in the first couple of rounds being drafted, but he's not Bijan Robinson. It's Bijan Robinson. What about Travis Etienne? Travis
Etienne is a guy that I have had high hopes for, especially in fantasy, but, he'll explode for a few weeks and then, he won't do as well for some others. I think overall, though, I'm still riding with Bijan Robinson. Again, I think his potential is through the roof.
This is interesting because Trevor Lawrence just signed his extension like 2 days ago. So they're going to be locked in as that, quarterback running back tandem for the next 5 years, 4 or 5 years. And there might be a little more inconsistency in Atlanta, but this is also the Jaguars. They're like the Falcons of the AFC. So I'm going to still go with Bijan Robinson.
If this ends up being Travis Etienne has a better year than the Falcons, I don't know what you can do with this guy, because you've had 2 straight coaches who are like, we're going to use Bijan Robinson. We're going to run the ball until his legs fall off. And if he can't produce better than Travis Etienne, then it's a problem. Give me Bijan. Ramondre Stevenson.
Jesse, you go ahead.
Look, as a Patriots guy, I love Ramondre Stevenson, but he's not anywhere near the level of Bijan Robinson, especially for fantasy. If we're talking about fantasy, Ramondre is great. He is a good pass catcher as well, but this is Bijan Robinson we're talking about. I think Ramondre could be top 15. Bijan could easily be top 5.
Yeah, Ramondre Stevenson definitely last season was a little disappointing fantasy-wise. I drafted him pretty high, and he did not produce the way that I wanted him. But in terms of actual on-the-field play, I think I'm going to go with Bijan Robinson.
This isn't even close. I mean, we're talking about Ramondre Stevenson, maybe a top 20 running back, and give me Bijan as a top 5 easily. Bijan. James Cook, now with the Bengals.
What? No, he's not.
Yeah.
James Cook is on the Bills.
Did I mess that up?
Joe Mixon is a Bill who's now a Texan, but James Cook is on the Bills 100%.
Bengals depth chart.
It's Zach Moss is their running back.
Zach Moss. You're right. My bad.
Bills aren't letting him go.
All right, James Cook.
Okay.
Zach.
I thought you were going first. I would.
Sorry.
This is actually interesting. James Cook I think he finished like top 5 or 6 last year by the end of the season. But that was largely off of a couple huge games, and the rest of those games were kind of duds. James Cook only has, I think, 4 rushing touchdowns in his career with Buffalo over 2 seasons, and that's just not going to do it. So I'm definitely leaning Bijan Robinson on this one. James Cook is good, but he's not Bijan.
Yeah, James Cook to me is like that flash in the pan type of player where, like, like some weeks he just, has like amazing games, but other weeks he just, he doesn't really have any production whatsoever. I'm going to go with Bijan Robinson because I expect more consistency from him.
This is tough because, I want to say Bijan Robinson. There's a lot of guys on our list that you're going to want to pick him over, but it's all based on potential because we haven't seen him really allowed to kind of let loose. When he has these individual moments where he does okay, but I'm going to stick with Bijan, but I don't feel great about it. All right. Then we're going to go Zach first, then Jesse, just so everybody's clear. All right. Devon Achane, Dolphins.
Oof. This one's really tough. I really like Devon Achane, and I really, I think I'm going to go with Devon Achane on this one, actually. He really impressed me his first season. I think it's going to continue. While I do think Bijan Robinson is going to become one of the top running backs, I expect Devon Achane to be right up there with him over the next 4 years. So give me Devon Achane this one by a slim margin.
Ooh, this is tough because we saw Devon Achane like 200 yards in a game and then just got injured and was kind of on the shelf for a lot of the season. Still finished as the RB22 despite playing like 8 games or something. This is very tough. You know what? I would take Devon Achane, I think, for the next 4 years. If this was just for 1 year, I'd take Bijan. But if we're looking at the next 4 years, and this is the Miami Dolphins, and Raheem Mostert is already over the age of 30, and he's likely on the way out, that could create some room for Devon Achane to take over as the number 1 in a very explosive offense. We haven't seen Atlanta be that explosive by any means. So if this is a 4-year play, I think I would lean Achane.
I think I'm leaning Achane too, because I think that, he shares the carries a little bit more in Miami when everybody's healthy. And for Bijan to really be successful, he's going to end up having to get 20 to 25 carries or touches. And I don't know. This sounds weird because Achane was out most of last year, but I kind of trust his ability to stay on the field a little better and not need so many touches in order to hit pay dirt. So give me Achane. Derrick Henry.
I feel like if this was just a 1 year thing, it'd be a tougher conversation. But because it's 4 years, I'm easily going Bijan Robinson. Derrick Henry is not getting any younger. He's already crossed 30. He's been traded to the Ravens, who I expect them to, give him one really productive year with them, especially, in that run heavy offense. But down the line, it's just, Derrick Henry, he's not getting any younger. And I know he can still be dominant, but I really think this is the year where he starts to really show his age. I'm going to go Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, I would definitely take Bijan here. I mean, Derrick Henry, his best days are behind him. I think he'll have a good year this year, but 2-3 years from now, he could be Todd Gurley, like just sitting at home, So he's had a great career for sure, but I think the best is definitely behind him. So Bijan.
Yeah, you got to go Bijan in the next 4 years. I don't think that Derrick Henry will be playing in 4 years. He could prove me wrong, but he's going to be very limited. So I'm going to go with Bijan. Let's skip forward a couple names. Alvin Kamara, NFC South.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara is an interesting one. He's had solid production over the last couple of seasons, but nothing that really pops out to you. He still is only 28 years old, so maybe his best season is still ahead of him, but I'm going to doubt that, and I'm going to go with Bijan Robinson here.
I've had Alvin Kamara in fantasy for the last 5 years. Give me Bijan Robinson. I think he's Alvin Kamara 2.0, like very similar pass catcher, rusher as well. But I think he actually can get more done on the ground than Alvin Kamara can. Although the Saints also just don't run the ball that well. But I would take Bijan for sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, Alvin Kamara is never going to be a 20 carry guy with New Orleans. It's just not how they run it, especially they have Kendre Miller now. So Bijan's probably the answer, but I'm a Saints fan and I hate the Falcons, so I'm answering Alvin Kamara because he might have 100 catches this year with this new offense. So give me Alvin. And Alvin is I think he's 28 or 29, and this is about to be his last big contract. So, I think he's going to want to show out. Nick Chubb.
This is one that I've been thinking about for a little bit because Nick Chubb, I mean, as phenomenal of a player as he is, you have that injury concern, especially over the next couple of years. He's 28 right now, and if this was like a 1 year thing, I think he can still have a very productive year, and I would probably take him over Bijan. But since we're going 4 years, I really think once he passes 30, it's going to start to go downhill. I'm going to go with Bijan Robinson.
Nah, I would still definitely take Nick Chubb. I know that the 4 year thing makes it tough. Like in year 4 of this deal, it might not work out that well, but I'm betting that he's going to make a good recovery. When he's healthy, Nick Chubb has a case to be the best runner in the NFL, like the best pure running back. And the Browns had such a dominant run game. It was terrible to see him go down last year, especially another knee injury. But I would definitely take Nick Chubb, no question. He can definitely be the best back in the league any given Sunday.
Yeah, I'm going to take Nick Chubb. I don't feel great about it. And in my head, I was like, when does Nick Chubb ever get through a season where he's not injured? Last year, he only had 170 yards because he got injured, I think, in week 2. But before that, he had 1,500, 1,200, 1,000, and 1,400. And the year before that, 996. So he's always been pretty reliable. His number of carries are pretty low, too. So, assuming he gets through this, rehab, I think I like him, Nick Chubb. Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor's another interesting one. I mean, if Jack were here, it'd already be Jonathan Taylor, and he would have just been done by now. But I just like what I've seen out of Bijan more. Again, I think he has more potential overall. I'm going to stick with Bijan Robinson.
Nah, this is the one where it's definitely Jonathan Taylor. I think he is also another guy who can have the claim to the number 1 spot in the NFL. Definitely was a down year last year figuring out the whole contract situation. But he is healthy and ready to go. He is signed. He has his money. He's ready to play ball. And I think he's going to have a phenomenal season. He could definitely end up as the RB1 in fantasy this year. Going forward, he's young. He's explosive. I would definitely take JT.
I think it's JT also. I think everything Jesse just said, he's ready to go. And the key point is that when you talk about Venom, what do you think about? That's the real question. Zach, would you like to recant?
Yes, I still think of bees. I still do. Yeah.
Weird. All right, Saquon Barkley, Zach.
Saquon Barkley is an interesting one because when he stays healthy, he is arguably a top 3 running back in the NFL. But he has had his injury concerns over the past couple of years, where he hasn't been able to stay on the field for for a full season. Like he missed like a few games or whatever. But I'm gonna bank on his health. I'm gonna say he does stay healthy, especially during this 3-year contract. I'm gonna take Saquon Barkley in this one.
Wow, this is tough. I actually might lean back to Bijan Robinson on this one. I'm very excited to see what Saquon has up his sleeve this year with the Eagles. But also, I just don't want to have to root for the Eagles for the next hour long. But I think, Bijan is younger. Saquon has had some injury history, hasn't had a lot of full seasons in the last couple of years. I would take Bijan on this one. It's a toss-up, though. This is a very, very, very close one.
I'm going to take Bijan over a 4-year span because Saquon has not shown the ability to stay healthy for an entire season and hasn't really loaded on stats in a couple of years. So he did 2 years ago, had 1,310 touchdowns, but, for 3 years before that, didn't have much. So I love him if you gave it to me for 1 year next year, I think he's going to be huge for the Eagles, but I don't think that over 4 years, I'm going to take him. I'm going to go Bijan. Jahmyr Gibbs.
Jahmyr Gibbs. He really impressed me his rookie season. And you know what? I think he's going to continue to impress. I really like what the Lions offense is doing. Ben Johnson staying is a big factor in this decision. I'm going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs for right now.
I wish I could disagree, but Jahmyr Gibbs, if you just watch strictly based off the eye test, he's the greatest running back in the league. I swear, he is so electric to watch. And the fact that he did all that he did last year while being the second running back on his team, like David Montgomery was the goal line back. He was getting all of the big carries, inside the 5, third down, whatever it was. I mean, he was usually the first and second down kind of guy, and Gibbs would come in, change the pace. But if this is in an RB1 role, getting 20-plus touches a game, I would definitely take Jahmyr Gibbs. I think it's kind of preference at that point. They're very similar, lots of potential on both sides, but got to be Gibbs.
Give me Gibbs.
Franchise.
Give me Gibbs, and everybody that talked down on Dan Campbell when he took Gibbs, obviously he didn't have the option to take Bijan because he was already gone. Now we're sitting here saying we'd rather have Jahmyr Gibbs the next 4 years. So Dan Campbell, he knew it was going down. All right, give me Kyren Williams.
Ooh, Kyren Williams is a very interesting one because he just had that breakout season. I mean, definitely, I think we're still looking for consistency because he's only been in the league for 2 years. But I'm really torn. I'm really split on this one. I'm gonna bank on Bijan's upside in a new offense. Again, like I've been saying, I'm gonna go with Bijan Robinson in this one, but this is not trying to be disrespecting Kyren Williams and sleeping on him. I think he's gonna be phenomenal over the next 4 years. I just think Bijan Robinson could be even more phenomenal.
This is a tough one because Kyren Williams this guy had so many touchdowns last year and so many rushing yards for not playing that much. He had 1,300, 1,400 yards and 15 touchdowns in in 12 games. He also didn't play the entire season. He was still top 5 in yards, which was kind of really his first full year as well. 2022, he didn't really play much, but wow, that's tough. I think I would still go Bijan. Just Kyren Williams kind of came out of nowhere a little bit last year, was much more of a sleeper, and Bijan is the most hyped running back prospect since Saquon, honestly. So I think I would still lean Bijan here, but this is a very, very close one as well. You could really go either way.
This one's not close for me. I think Kyren Williams was a flash in the pan. You're not going to see, definitely going to have touchdown regression this year. And if I had him in a keeper league or a dynasty league, I would be trying to get rid of him because I think he's going to have a very underwhelming year. And give me Bijan for the next 4 easily. Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs.
in a new situation too.
In a new situation in Green Bay, who has used their running backs pretty well over the past, like I'd say, half decade, they've used them pretty well. I really like Josh Jacobs. I feel like a lot of people sleep on Josh Jacobs, and I'm going to keep sleeping. I'm going to go Bijan Robinson over the next 4 years.
Wow. I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs. I think he's only 26. Like he's still going to be under 30 by the end of this 4-year period, or just turning 30. And I mean, he led the league in rushing like 2 years ago, and then had a bit of a regressive year last year. But I mean, Las Vegas was just a mess. I would definitely roll with Josh Jacobs. I think he has the talent to be a guy who can lead the league in rushing. You could argue Bijan does as well, but Josh Jacobs has the receipts and has done it. He's an incredibly explosive player. Maybe not as good in the passing game, but I mean, he's no schlub at catching the football. So I would still go Josh Jacobs for the next 4 years. He's definitely a dog, and he's going to have a really good year in Green Bay.
What was that word you just said? Was it schlub?
A schlub, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's like a slouch, but Yiddish.
Yeah, no, I know what it is.
Look at that.
All right. I'm going to go very easily with Josh Jacobs on this. I just think that he's in his running back prime years, the next couple of years. And I think the Packers offense is going to show us what the Raiders should have been doing with Josh Jacobs. I think he's going to be much more involved in the passing game. And I think he's going to be a major home run. And I want to see these next 4 years from him. Give me Josh Jacobs. Breece Hall.
Ooh, Breece Hall's also a very interesting player on here. You know, we had Bijan Robinson put into an underwhelming offense, and then Breece Hall with his injury. Like, you look at his numbers, maybe a little bit. Yeah, I mean, they're a little bit underwhelming, but he almost had 1,000 yards last season. I'm probably going to go Bijan Robinson because I still think with a new coach, he has a better overall situation. Robert Saleh has been solid, but not exactly what you would want out of your head coach. So I'm going to go with Bijan Robinson on this one.
This is Breece Hall. Next question. I think it's actually no question. I think definitely Breece Hall. In terms of dynasty fantasy football, there's not many guys I'd want more than Bijan Robinson, but Breece Hall is one of them.
Wow. For me, it's Bijan, no question. I just think that Jets team is so ripe for just disaster, and that could just extend to their entire offense. I don't think that Robert Saleh has done a good job, and I think he will continue to not do a good job. So I'm all over Bijan in this one. Last one, Christian Jackson McCaffrey.
Yeah, it's going to be CMC easily until the day he retires, I feel like. I'm going to go with Christian McCaffrey pretty easily.
I don't know, man. That Madden cover might curse him for the next couple of years, but I'm still sticking with Christian McCaffrey. I'll take my chances with the Madden curse.
Oh yeah, it's CMC. He's only 28, all world. It's like getting Michael Jordan really young, you know, and being able to ride that out the rest of his career. So give CMC. All right. We do have a giveaway. Jesse, do you want to do the giveaway now?
I literally started the giveaway like 20 seconds ago. So we're on the same
Perfect.
wave.
So how do we get there?
Discord currently, if you guys want to go enter, it's in the giveaways chat. We're giving away a $10 gift card. And that is live for the next 5 minutes if you want to go enter.
Perfect. Awesome. Great minds think alike. All right. Next, we have one question for each team. Okay, I give you 10 seconds to respond. All right, so you gotta hit me really quickly with some facts, with some opinions, whatever. All right, so we're gonna start with you, Zach. Is Mike Evans a first ballot Hall of Famer if he retired today?
Yes, absolutely. I don't think there's a question about it. Next question.
Come on,
Jesse gets the answer.
10 years, 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons, almost 100 touchdowns. Near 12,000 yards in his career already. He could retire tomorrow, today, yesterday, whatever it is. First ballot Hall of Famer.
He's already got more receiving yards than Calvin Johnson, who's going to be is in the Hall of Fame, and so give me a yes on this one. Not even close. All right, will Baker still cook with Dave Canales in Carolina this year?
I think Baker definitely still cooks. I mean, the Panthers look like they're going to end up being, once again, the worst team in football. So I think it's a no-brainer. Yes, Baker Mayfield will cook.
I think that we're going to see a little bit of regression from Baker Mayfield. I think that he had a great year last year, and I think it's going to come crashing back to earth a little bit. So I think he'll still have a solid year, but I don't think the Bucs are winning the division again.
Yeah, I said the Bucs earlier winning the division, but I actually think Baker Mayfield does regress. So I don't think he'll be cooking. I think his, receivers are getting a little older. I think he takes a step back. Are you in or out for Bryce Young in year 2?
I'm not even sure if the Panthers are in or out on Bryce Young, especially with David Tepper throwing temper tantrums every other week. I am out because the Panthers, mostly David Tepper, seem to be out.
I don't know what you're talking about with this Panthers seem to be out on Bryce Young. They drafted a wide receiver in the first round and got Deontay Johnson off the Steelers to be their new lead guy with him, Thielen, and Leggett. Like, if that doesn't scream, we're going to give our guys some more weapons to work with and rebound and have a better year. I don't know what this no faith in Bryce Young narrative that you're creating is, Zach, but they literally drafted a receiver in the first round, which is something the Packers didn't do for 15 years with Aaron Rodgers. So I think that they're getting their guys some weapons because they know it was a bad year last year, and he had Adam Thielen, a 32-year-old white guy, to throw to as his top target. So I think I am in on Bryce Young going into year 2. This is going to be a bounce back.
And he still has Adam Thielen. It's just not his, you said, it's not his first choice.
His third option, which is where he should be on the depth chart.
Yeah, it's how he started his career. It's how he'll end his career. No, I'm out on Bryce Young. It has nothing to do with David Tepper, and it has everything to do with that offensive line. All right, last one, New Orleans Saints. Floor, let me see. Let me figure out how to hook this one. Give me your floor and ceiling for the New Orleans Saints this year.
It's a very interesting question. I mean, they're bringing back a lot of the same team from last year. I'm gonna say the floor is probably say 5-12 is the absolute floor. I think they can still squeak out 5 wins with the current roster. That also includes things don't go their way, injuries come up that really hurt the team. Say their absolute floor is 5-12, and their absolute ceiling is 10-7, because honestly, that's probably all you need to win this division. And 10-7 with a division victory, get bounced out of the playoffs in the first round. That's about what I see the ceiling being for the New Orleans Saints.
So I think the Saints' floor is 4-13, and either Derek Carr gets hurt and Spencer Rattler starts taking snaps. However, the Saints are they are top 5 in strength of schedule. So they have a pretty easy schedule. I mean, they get to play Carolina twice. They get to play all the other teams in their division twice, which is already a handicap. And I think that their ceiling is they go 11-6 and win in the wild card round and get to the divisional and then lose. I think that they could pull off what the Bucs did last year, beat whichever NFC East team doesn't get the number 1 spot in their division. The Eagles or the Cowboys drop down to the 5th seed. They're the 4th seed. They get a home playoff game. They get 1 win, just like the Giants did a few years ago as well when they had that 1 wild card win. And then they get bounced by whatever legitimate team they play in the next round, whether it's the Niners or whoever else in the NFC. So floor is 4-13, ceiling 11-6, and 1 playoff win.
Y'all are insane. The floor is 8-9. The ceiling is 9-8 or 10-7. All right, it's that close. They get 2 games against the Panthers. They win 1 from Atlanta, 1 from Tampa. That's 4. Then they have the Giants and the Commanders. Thank you. That's 2 extras. Then they have the Raiders and Broncos. That is 8 right there. So, obviously they're not going to be
though.
What's that?
That's a lot of assumed wins.
That's some assumptions. That doesn't even count in week 3 when we hammer the Eagles 27-3. So, but no, I do think that their schedule is easy enough. They have enough veterans on this team that they'll be solid enough against the teams that are really terrible. And so they end up somewhere between 8-9 and 10-7. It's just, I don't think there's many other options, sadly. We're like the Pittsburgh Steelers the last couple of years of the NFC. All right. Time for the NFC South Fantasy Draft. This was our big, fun edition last year. You can only pick players from the NFC South. We get a quarterback, a running back, 2 wide receivers, and a flex. Okay, the flex can be anybody, and this division is as flex as it gets. So We're starting with Zach, then me, then Jesse. Take it away.
Well, I want to just
All
say
right.
one more time. NFC South fantasy draft. Zach picks first.
NFC South fantasy draft. Zach picks first.
NFC South fantasy draft, I pick first. And I'm going to go and grab my free 1,000-yard season. Give me Mike Evans with the first overall pick.
Wow. I did not expect that.
Wow.
I had myself.
I just got a 1,000-yard season right there, so I'm pretty happy. 1,000-yard season, all double-digit touchdowns most likely. Number one option on that team. I'm getting the best player fantasy-wise in this division right away. Give me Mike Evans.
Back when there was a 16-game season, a 1,000-yard season was about a 67-yard average. Now we play 17 games, so that's even less. So as impressive as you think that is, I'll take Bijan Robinson. Thank you very much.
That was expected. I thought that
I wasn't going to pick him because I didn't think he'd be around.
I wasn't sure if Bijan would somehow trickle all the way down to me, but I guess clearly that's not going to happen. All right, let's go. You know what? Despite missing 3 games this year, this guy still finished in the top 10 for running backs, maybe even top 5 if you were in PPR. I'll go with Alvin Kamara. He's going to do what he does, and like Brian said earlier, he's in a contract year. He's ready to show out and get 6 catches a game for like 40 yards, 10 carries, another 60 yards, maybe a touchdown here or there, whatever we need to do. And then I'm going to take, lots of the quarterbacks are interesting, but not that interesting. I'm going to take another wide receiver off the board who I think should be due for a bounce back here. Give me Chris Olave.
Yeah,
can't believe I just took 2 Saints.
I know. What are you, a homer? Come on. No, I'd have run to the podium to take Olave had you passed on him, because I do think he's a top 10 wide receiver this year, and they'll have to throw a lot because they'll be behind. I'm not wasting any time with the quarterback room. So I got to go receiver, and the top rated guy still on the board right now is Drake London. I don't feel great about that, but I feel okay about that. I think he's going to have a higher ceiling and a higher floor because his floor was way low last year. Give me Drake London. So you think you're crazy? I got 2 Falcons.
Yeah, I was not expecting that, to be honest.
Now, I mean, there's a chance I take 2 Buccaneers, but you know what? I'm going to be the first one to end up touching this quarterback room. Give me Kirk Cousins in this new Falcons offense.
Yeah, I like that.
And then you guys have already taken the top 2 running backs, so maybe I wait a little bit. Maybe I take a look at the wide receiver and flexes, but we're already down to slim pickings there. So you know what? I'm going to end up taking another Buccaneer. Give me Rachaad White to fill up my running back position.
If you didn't, there was no way he was getting back to you. So
I know
he wasn't even getting to Jesse if you didn't take him. Like, all right, so okay, here we go. I can't believe I'm going to do this, but I just have to do it. I'm taking Kyle Pitts at my flex. I mean, I just look at the rankings. I don't want to trust Kyle Pitts. I will not take him in a full fantasy draft until, I don't know, around 10 or 11, which will be way gone before.
Nah.
But, you know, I think if he's going to show out, this is the year, buddy.
Brian, the last thing that you should ever say with Kyle Pitts is, but look at the rankings. The rankings have been wrong for 4 years in a row.
I know.
Okay. So now that most of the other wide receiver ones are already off the board, but this guy just came to Carolina, new team. Give me Deontay Johnson, PPR machine. And then looking at the quarterbacks, yeesh. This is ugly, but I'm going to take Baker Mayfield. I think that he's safe. Bryce Young, I think, is going to have a better year, but maybe not that good. And I don't want to touch Derek Carr with a 10-foot stick.
Good. Now I can wait on quarterback and choose between Bryce Young and Derek Carr. Awesome. I'm going to take a wide receiver that I think is still top 30. And if Baker's as solid as he was the past couple of years, give me Chris Godwin.
Yeah, I was definitely considering Chris Godwin. That's a very good pick. Love it. We've only taken 1 Panther today. Makes total sense. All right, now to fill out my team, all I need is a wide receiver and a flex. So I could just load up on wide receiver here. But first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take a wide receiver that I think is pretty underrated, but I think he'll provide some niche wide receiver 3 type of numbers this year. Give me Rashid Shaheed.
Great
if your
pick.
league counts kick returns, that's also a good pick.
That's true. It is a very good pick for kick returns. Flex is definitely interesting because we've really come down to the slimmer pickings here. Out of who is left, I'm looking at 2 names. One's a running back, one's a tight end. But you know what? I'm going to trust the Falcons' new offense. Give me Tyler Algier here with my final pick.
Ooh,
Wow.
okay. I have to take a quarterback. I will not be taking Bryce Young. Give me Derek Carr.
All
I
right.
just can't do it.
And to close it off, okay.
Pick
you know what?
who
This guy was a
you
fantasy
have to
legend.
pick. Come on.
This guy was a fantasy legend for like half the season. Give me the other Panther, Adam Thielen.
Oh,
I was
how does
leaning
Taysom
maybe
Hill
Chuba
not
Hubbard.
get drafted?
I was gonna maybe go Chuba Hubbard because he's Canadian, but I felt like that was too much of a homer pick.
I was thinking between Tyler Algier and Cade Otton, actually. Those are the 2 names I was thinking about.
Watch out for Kendre Miller, backup running back for the Saints. I'm telling you, the dude. If Kamara misses any time, this guy could be a superstar.
It's Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams is going to be playing.
Now he is the immediate backup, but he's not the explosive.
No, Kendre Miller is definitely more of the guy if he goes down. Jamal Williams is like the 1-yard specialist. Kendre Miller could definitely be the lead back there.
Still,
If you get points for
I
anime.
mean,
you
Jamal
might
Williams is still a
take Jamal
touchdown
Williams.
machine, though, so that's what matters for fantasy.
Well,
He had
last year he had
touchdown
one,
last
and it
year.
was very controversial because we ran the score up on the Falcons.
Yeah,
and
that
we're
was
like,
his only touchdown last year after leading the league, which is crazy.
Right. So tell us in the chat, what do you think? Who you think won? I think it's absolutely me, and Zach is so far behind in third. It's ridiculous.
I like my team a lot too. I think I got some solid producers at every spot. So if this is PPR, I have like the most PPR merchant team ever assembled with Kamara, Deontay, Thielen, and Olave. That's going to be pretty deadly.
Yeah, you'll get a lot of points. You're going to have to hope that the Panthers quarterback, whoever it is, takes a week.
Yeah, I think Deontay or Thielen will do well week to week, not both. But I just am covering both sides of the coin.
Awesome. All right, let's get to the next segment. We are going to rank the NFC South wide receiver rooms. So, how do we want to do this? We can name the players. You know who's there. Zach, do you want to start us off? Give us 1 through 4. Rank the NFC South wide receiver rooms.
All right. Well, I feel like immediately at number 1, I am going to put the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, still spearheaded by the 1-2 duo of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. As long as they're still both with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're going to be my number 1. And then, after that, it kind of opens up a little bit. But I think at number 2, I'm going to go with who I think is the best wide receiver outside of Mike Evans. I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints with Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. Those are really the 2. I'm really looking at like the first 2-3 guys of the wide receiver room to really base this ranking on. I really like what Chris Olave did this past year. I think Rashid Shaheed definitely underrated, especially, we know he's a great kick returner. It doesn't really matter as a wide receiver room, but I think he's pretty solid overall. Then I'm going to go, it's weird because I feel like if you look, if you factor in who's passing to them, then Atlanta would have the advantage. But I kind of like what Carolina has in their room more. And I also think they're probably the deepest room on this list. I like what Terrence Marshall Jr., what his potential could be. They drafted Xavier Legette this year. He definitely has potential. Just a lot more question marks in that Carolina room, but the future does look bright for them. And then finally, I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons. It is Drake London, and that's pretty much it.
All right, so we got Tampa, New Orleans, Carolina, Atlanta. Going to you, Jess.
It's definitely tough. I would say it's definitely Tampa 1, but they're very top heavy. Like after Evans and Godwin, it kind of drops off a lot more. Although Sterling Shepard being a Buccaneer is going to be interesting if he can play a full season. After that, I think I would actually give it to Carolina. I think that they're, in terms of talent, with Deontay, Adam Thielen, Terrace Marshall Jr., and Xavier Legette, that's a lot of talent in one room. It could be untapped, and we might not see it with Bryce Young leading the way. But I think just based off of talent alone, I will put them next. Then between the Saints and the Falcons, it's tough. I think Olave is definitely the best receiver of the entire group. But I actually think I'm going to go at third Atlanta. I think I'm going to put Atlanta third with Drake London. Darnell Mooney, pretty good pickup for them. He's shown a lot of promise on the Bears. Just didn't really work out. They also got Rondale Moore in the offseason. So 2 new additions, 2 slot guys that are speedy, can get a lot of yards after the catch. They also got Ray McLeod. So this is a very explosive wide receiver room. I think that they're primed for a ton of big plays. And then lastly, I'm going to put the Saints with Olave. He's great. Shaheed, I think he also has a lot of talent, but you get to Cedric Wilson, A.T. Perry. The rest of the guys on the roster aren't really moving the needle for me as much. So I would say Tampa, Carolina, Atlanta, New Orleans.
All right. I am pretending I'm an alien who has just come down to earth for the first time. I'm not even thinking about quarterback. I'm just ranking the wide receiver room. I'm going Carolina number 1. Look at those 4, okay? If they get any sort of quarterback play, it will be embarrassing if this team does not have legitimate passing statistics, because their top 4 are stronger than any other team in the division. Tampa is second. New Orleans third, because I think it's A.T. Perry who steps up. And also you have Bub Means. Yeah, remember that name, Bub, from Pittsburgh. I know Zach probably doesn't like that, but I think he steps up, and that's a stronger room than you think. And then you have Atlanta last, because that's where the Falcons belong, in last. So
Love it.
A lot of different stuff, but this Carolina team's got some skill positions. They need to do something at running back, but it'll be interesting to see what they can do if they can get Bryce Young any time to throw. So let's hit some trivia. Jesse, you take it away.
I just want to give a quick shout out to Inferno in our Discord, who won the giveaway. You'll be walking home with a $10 gift card. So if you guys want to win some of our giveaways, make sure you're in our Discord. You can join that anywhere, any link you see at Lost Tribe. If you click it, you'll probably see a Discord link there. So make sure you're in the Discord. That we do giveaways almost every single time we go live. So yeah. All right. Our trivia for today. First one, we're going to be looking at the ground here. All right. So can you name the 10 players with the most career rushing yards in the NFC South? So top 10 yards recorded in the South. So that means that it doesn't matter where they were the rest of their career. This is strictly when they were a member of these 4 teams. So we got 10 players. Let's do it.
All right. Let's start. I'm going to start a little off the wall and just go with Deuce McAllister.
Deuce McAllister is on the list, and he is number 6 with 6,000 yards in the NFC South.
Okay. I'm going to go with someone currently still in the NFC South. Give me Alvin Kamara.
Alvin Kamara comes in at number 7, right behind him, with 5,800 yards.
Yep. Okay. Let's go. What about? Oh shoot! What's the Falcon running back from the Dirty Bird? Is it Jamal Anderson? Was that his name?
No.
Jamal. What was his name? Or is he just not on the list?
That's just not a guy on there.
Huh. I think that was his name.
There is a guy who played on the Falcons, but in the 2000s.
Okay. I'm going to go with, you know what? Let me guess Doug Martin.
Doug Martin is number 9 with 4,600 yards in the NFC South, all for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Wow. Okay, so we're missing the top guys. Like, who would this be?
You have 6, 7, and 9 so far.
Let's just put Christian McCaffrey on the list.
He's number 10. He barely makes the cut with 3,980. So he's the last guy on the list.
This might be a bit of a stretch, but Michael Vick.
Michael Vick is number 14. He is about 600 yards off the list. Not a bad guess, though.
What about? I'm going old head. James Wilder, Tampa Bay.
Nope.
Oh, because he wasn't in the NFC South back then. He was in the NFC Central.
There is a different Buccaneer in the top 5.
How about Mark Ingram?
Mark Ingram's number 4. I'm surprised that Brian didn't get that.
Nice.
I was thinking of the other. I was like pushing myself to the other teams. Okay. Work done.
Work done is number 4. So you guys have all of the Saints right now.
I thought Mark Ingram was number 4.
Sorry, work done number 3. Yes.
Huh. How about Devonta Freeman?
Devontae Freeman is the first guy off the list. He is 8 yards behind Christian McCaffrey.
8 yards is crazy.
Yeah.
What about probably the best fullback in the history of the NFL, Mike Allstott?
No, Mike Allstott is not on this list.
He played some in the South and some in the Central, but
no.
Okay. I already guess one quarterback. Why not 2? How about Super Cam Newton?
Cam Newton's number 8 with 5,000 rushing yards in the NFC South.
Wow.
In 133 games. So.
Okay. What about Jonathan Stewart?
Number 1 on the list. Jonathan Stewart with the most rushing yards ever in the NFC South. 7,300. Number 1.
I decided to go with the Panthers because they've never played in any other division.
There is one other Panther on here, number 2.
Oh wow. Moving away from the Panthers, how about Deuce McAllister?
He was the first name Brian guessed, and he is number 6.
Oh,
still. So what are we missing?
And still. How about
you're just missing number 2 and number 5, and it is a Panther and a Falcon.
Okay.
I think I know the Panther.
Panther and a Falcon. How about Michael Turner?
That is the Atlanta Falcon at number 5 with 6,081 yards. Beautiful pull, leaving just number 2, which is Brian.
D'Angelo Williams.
Bang. D'Angelo Williams. Number 2 with 6.8 thousand in the NFC South. Well done.
Nice.
All right. Well, don't go anywhere, because we are going to go to the other side of the offense and look at the air attack. So, same question. Can you name the 10 players with the most career receiving yards in the NFC South? So, we've got 10 guys on the list, and let's do it again.
All right. I feel like he's the obvious number 1. Give me Julio Jones.
Julio Jones is number 1 with 13,200 yards in the NFC South.
Eagles legend.
Because they need some. Let's go with Mike Evans.
Mike Evans comes in at number 3 with almost 12,000 yards in the NFC South. His entire career, number 3.
Okay. How about Steve Smith Sr.?
Number 2 with just over 12,000 yards, Steve Smith.
What about Marcus Colston?
Number 5. Guys are killing it on this one. Just under 10,000 yards in the South.
Wow.
There's a pretty big drop from Colston to the next guy. It goes down about 3,000 yards to about 6,700.
Okay. How about everyone's favorite slant boy, Michael Thomas?
Damn, I was going to guess that next.
That's a lot of slants. And yeah, he is number 7 on the list with 6,600 yards about.
Wow. Good job, slant boy.
NFC South. Who else are we going to go with? Is Chris Godwin on there?
He's number 6, Chris Godwin, with 6,690. He's behind Marcus Colston, above Michael Thomas, number 6.
This is probably a stretch, but let's go with everyone's favorite PPR merchant, Alvin Kamara.
No, Alvin Kamara is not on the list. He has, let's see, he's about 1,000 yards off the list. So not that far, but he is about 6 or 7 names down the list.
I'm going to go with one of the most hated Falcons in history by Saints fans, Roddy White.
Good reason to hate him because he had almost 11,000 yards on the Atlanta Falcons. Good enough for number 4 ever. So you have.
So what are we down to?
You currently have the top 7 knocked out. You have 8, 9, and 10 that we're missing.
Okay.
There is a Saint in here, Brian.
Oh, I think I know who it is.
Okay. I'm gonna guess. Well, you mentioned that there's a Saint. I'm gonna guess Jimmy Graham.
Jimmy's the first guy off the list. Jimmy Graham.
Oh, I thought he would be right. Another
Saint.
Saint. Is it Joe Horn?
It is Joe Horn. And his son on the Carolina Panthers currently, but 52-60 for Joe Horn comes in at number 9. So we have 2 players left, number 8 and number 10. One of them is a tight end.
Yep.
You know what? I think I know who that tight end is. I'm gonna say Greg Olson.
He's on TV now, but he used to be putting up 6,400 yards on the Carolina Panthers, good enough for number 8. And by the way, Alvin Kamara has more yards in the South than Tony Gonzalez. Fun fact.
Wow.
By
Right.
about 10 yards.
Good. You suck, Tony Gonzalez.
Last name, number 10, wide receiver. In case it wasn't obvious.
Oh, what's the guy? Carolina Panthers. Muhsin Muhammad.
He is the second guy off the list. He has 4,600 yards. This player is actually still in the league.
Oh, okay. Is it DJ Moore?
It is DJ Moore with 5,200 yards, the last guy on this list. Number 10 all-time in the NFC South.
If you didn't say that, I was going to guess Vincent Jackson.
I was thinking about Vincent Jackson too.
That's not bad. I don't think he had a long enough tenure in Tampa for that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
Well, you guys got pretty much everyone. The only other near misses really weren't many. Jimmy Graham, Muhsin Muhammad, DeVary Henderson, Vincent Jackson.
Devery Henderson.
Oh, Devery, whatever. Tony G, Joey Galloway, Algie Crumpler, Ted Ginn, Calvin Ridley, Christian McCaffrey. Lots of names there.
Algie Crumpler, noted Saint killer. Algie Crumpler.
That sounds like a great name for our names draft.
Algernon Crumpler. I don't know if his real name is Algernon. That's just what we call him.
Yeah.
Because what else would Algie be short for?
I have no idea.
Exactly. All right. Last thing. A little NBA NFL debate. So, which NBA player would succeed the best for their hometown team? I'll give you a few names, Zach. You ready? You pick which one you want to take. You got Steph Curry. You got De'Aaron Fox. So Steph Curry from Carolina, kind of. De'Aaron Fox from New Orleans. Anthony Edwards from Atlanta. Or Scotty Barnes from Tampa.
Can I choose someone different? Because I have the perfect answer for this.
Go for it.
6'9", 250 pounds. You can pretty much put him anywhere on the field. LeBron James, if he played with the Cleveland Browns for his entire career, he would have led them to a championship.
Not the question.
You missed the theme.
NFC
You
South.
missed the theme, bro.
Oh, it's NFC South. Oh. Oh, man. I didn't realize it was only NFC South. Well, I'll save that for our AFC North
the
one.
last hour has been only NFC South, and now we're talking about LeBron James.
Well, it's NBA, NFL, and we got the final still, so who knows?
Proves you Gen Z is all like conditioned. We have to say LeBron James first.
That's funny.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, out of those players for their team, I'm going to go with Anthony Edwards. I feel like, with the new look Falcons offense, he could definitely provide some support for that. He would definitely be an offensive player. Don't get it twisted as well. I feel like he would be like, give me the ball, let me work, let me do what I got to do to just make this Falcons offense as great as possible. I'm going to say it'd be Anthony Edwards.
I think if you were to drop Scotty Barnes on the Buccaneers, he could definitely learn from Mike Evans and be the next great wide receiver on that team. I mean, the dude is like 6'8" and can do everything. Also, he's from Florida, but the Raptors played in Tampa Bay the season that we had to tank in order to get Scotty Barnes. So he's basically from Tampa. Like, we got him because of Tampa Bay. So that's the connection to Scotty Barnes, even though he's from West Palm, Florida. So Scotty Barnes, put him on the Buccaneers. He's a Hall of Famer in like 8 years.
This is tough because, no offense to Steph Curry and De'Aaron Fox, but they would get totally destroyed in the NFL. Like, I just can't. I was really hoping Nas Reed was actually from Louisiana and I could figure that out, but he's from New Jersey, so it didn't work out. Oh God, terrible. So looking at some other guys, Greg Monroe was kind of an NBA journeyman, but I just need a little size. So I think I'm going to take Greg Monroe and put him at, I don't know, left tackle maybe, and just let him teach him how to get low and punish some folks.
Greg Monroe is a crazy answer.
It is a crazy answer.
I just knew New Orleans and NBA player. So De'Aaron Fox, what am I doing with him? Is he going to be maybe if we take De'Aaron Fox and make him like a gunner on special teams? That might be our only option. You can beat the guy off the first dribble. He's one of the faster guys out there. I don't think he can tackle, but maybe he can hold somebody up while somebody else hits him.
Funny thing is De'Aaron Fox is 6'3", which is pretty tall in the NFL. You put him out on the field. And
he could definitely be a wideout.
Yeah.
He's got the speed,
He could be, I think actually De'Aaron Fox, I could see being a corner because he's got great hands. He led the league in steals last year. He's super fast. His lateral quickness, his lateral movement is definitely there. And he's a pretty good defender. So I think that he could stay on a guy's hip, and he could be the new Saints lockdown after Marshawn Lattimore leaves.
Yeah. No, he's not leaving. He's staying just to destroy Mike Evans when they play each other.
All right. So we'll be back next week with the NFC North, maybe? Who knows?
Okay.
East, West.
Or we could go to the AFC and just get rid of both Souths. Although the AFC South is a little more impressive this year.
Yeah, AFC South is going to be interesting. Maybe we'll do that with the new Trevor Lawrence contract underway. Maybe. So who knows?
I would say AFC South next week. I feel like that would be, get both Souths done back to back.
Get them done. Get them over with so we can talk about something else.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for hanging. Congrats again on the winner of the $10 gift card. And we will be back Thursday, right? Or are we Friday this week?
Thursday this week.
It's Thursday this week. We'll be back Thursday with some more games, trivia, questions, all sorts of stuff. But keep looking out for all of the NFL content we'll have on Instagram and TikTok, as well as here on the show every week. So the next 8 weeks, and then we get to actually have some games being played. So we're getting there. We're getting there, Zach. All right. Just calm down. All right. Bye.